Okay, welcome everybody. We hear consistently year in and year out from advisors that despite prospecting being a vital activity, obviously, to grow their businesses, that they either dislike it or they outright dread it and avoid it. And obviously, that is not a good thing. Well, on today's Building a Better Advisory Business show, we have on Connie Kadansky of Exceptional Sales Performance, who has kind of made it her mission over the years to help advisors overcome what she dubs sales call reluctance. So it's going to be a great show today. And to help us kick things off, I just want to ask you, wherever you're watching in the chat, if you can go ahead and share with us any tip, trick, or tactic that you personally use and have had success with in getting yourself in the zone, so to speak, to get out there and start going after new business. But at this point, I'm going to go ahead and turn things over to Sean and Connie.
Later, whatever the case may be, I'm happy to have Connie Kadansky here with us for a Build a Better Advisory Business. And Connie, let's start by having you kind of set the table about this phrase call reluctance, which is something, 20 years ago I'd never heard of. And then, we ran into you and a lot of your great insights. Some people might not be familiar with it. So why don't you just kind of give us call reluctance 101 before we dive into its manifestations and challenges and that sort of thing.
Yes, thank you, Sean. So sales call reluctance is that emotional hesitation to proactively prospect and self-promote. So it's the emotional hesitation.
Okay. And so how does that manifest itself, at a sort of more concrete level for financial advisors and others?
Well, is it when an advisor feels like, hey, I need to really leverage some relationships, develop some strategic alliances, follow up with my current clients, and they hesitate. Something inside of them, a negative intruder said, no, don't do that. They already have an advisor. They don't like advisors or whatever. We all have our own little way of having our saboteurs, our negative intruders, mess with us to keep us from really getting out there and proactively staying visible in our marketplace.
So I recall Horse's Mouth did a lot of research on referrals a good while ago. We published something called automatic referrals. I remember from our research, one of the things that somebody put their finger on related to a sort of exaggerated sense of fragility around relationships as it relates to referrals. The idea being the advisor's been working with a particular client for a long time and actually, very successfully, yet they couldn't bring themselves to have any sort of referral or introduction conversation with their client because it seemed in their head that they still viewed the relationship as so fragile that if they had made this one request or had this one type of conversation with this client who they've been delivering great service to for years, that one little engagement could blow up the entire relationship. Now, is that something you see? Is that part of call reluctance?
Oh, absolutely. There are 16 types of call reluctance, and referral aversion is one. And so, Sean, at the underlying mindset is everything is the underlying mindset. And so some advisors may have had a bad experience when they ask for a referral that didn't work. And so then they go, "Ooh, I'll never ask for that again." However, in one of the articles published on Horse's Mouth, it was absolutely very clear research that when advisors ask for an introduction, their client is more excited about the recipient of their services than helping the advisor. So that referral aversion is extremely expensive. And it truly is the way that they're sabotaging their success. So they really need to do some work on getting over that, because that's where the nitty gritty good referrals and leveraging relationships can build into their business.
So what are, some of the different ways that this sales call reluctance, shows up in advisors' lives?
Well, exactly what you just said, not leveraging the relationships. And also, anytime that they're ready to promote themselves or be visible in their marketplace and they hesitate. So, if they think about picking up the phone and following up with someone, and if they have a child on a team and there's a parent that they want to talk to, and they reach for the phone and they hesitate. So that's where it shows up. So sometimes people go, well, how do I know if I have call reluctance? Well, number one, look in your calendar today. How many new appointments do you have documented in your calendar? Number two, what does your bank account look like? Because that's where call reluctance shows up first, in the calendar and in your own bank account, because it is extremely costly.
How can you say a little bit more about it as showing up in the bank account? I want to be sure I understand that.
Well, if you're call reluctant, you're not talking to people. And if you're not talking to people, you're not bringing in new clients. If you're not bringing in new clients, you're not getting more assets under management. You're not selling your product or service. So that's where the cost comes in. And it's so unnecessary. Sean, if that is a message that I can get across today, I love the title of the program, How to Enjoy Prospecting More. And it's really to know that you can. And the way you really look at it is, here you are their advisor. Here is your prospecting business development activity. And there's a relationship between the two of you. And if you're struggling with call reluctance, it's the relationship that you have developed between you and your prospecting. And there's a way to have a harmonious relationship with this activity.
Okay. And what is that?
Well, you have to decide, and you have to decide, how are you perceiving this activity? And if you find it fearful, if you find it anxiety ridden, and that you need to face up and you need to be aware of it, because you become aware of your prospecting or your call reluctance by how much is it costing you, how many appointments do you have set, and then you assess it. Just like you never sign a client unless you assess what's going on with them, right? You have a fiduciary responsibility to find out. So you need to assess it. And number three, you have to admit it. Just say, you know what? I admit that I am not comfortable with asking for referrals. I just admit it, because admission, you can admit it, bring it up, look in the mirror. Have humility, have vulnerability, and say, yep, I experience this call reluctance. Because once people do that, they can get on the other side of it. That's 51% of the challenge here.
Yeah. How do people succeed in business, but then at the same time they're bedeviled by call reluctance? It would seem like call reluctance would be preventing them from, even having any significant tenure in the business, because it would have sunk you long ago. Well, it seems like that's not the case.
Well, it's true. I mean, there are people that they just came out of the gates with a sheer determination, and whatever be damned, they prospected, they forced themselves, and they were able to get some clientele. They were able to do that, right? And so what happens is they get to a certain place and they get comfortable with it. However, they have to continue to build, because there's attrition. And so there are seasoned professionals that tell me that they have had some episodes that have threatened their career. And so it hits people at different times. And so I've had advisors that are buying books of business. And that's the way that they've built their business and built it from there. If they have the funds to do that, that's beautiful. Some people hire appointment setters, and sometimes that works and sometimes it doesn't. The goal here is to just get comfortable promoting your value. And before we came on today, Sean, you and I were talking about, does the advisor really understand the value? Oh my goodness. If you all knew how valuable and important component in the success of your prospects are, it would not stop you, because when you're plugged into the value you bring, you let go of the call reluctance because you're more interested in creating value for your prospect than you are at protecting yourself from what prospecting can bring. Because sometimes we get told no. What do we make the no mean? You know what, Sean, I lost audio.
Yep.
Okay.
Sean, if you want to try to kind of turn off your mic, turn it back on. Give it a second there. I think he's going to come back in. So maybe if you're watching, want to take the opportunity to get into the chat panel and let us know, is any of this resonating with you? Does any of this sound familiar in your own experience? I think what you just said, Connie, about recognizing your value and realizing, the difference you can make in people's lives. When you understand that, doesn't that just eliminate a lot of that stress and worry you have around putting yourself out there? I mean, you're being of service.
Yes.
Being of service. Yeah.
So intellectually, but you have to embody your value. So think about when you're making a prospecting call where you are looking to find out if they have an interest in what you provide. The person that has call reluctance, they're picking up the phone and they're coming at it from a self-centric mindset. What if they say no? What if I mess up, right? And what I encourage you to do, a really quick tip here, is when you're ready to prospect, say to yourself, this is not about me. It's not about me, because it is not about you. And when you come at it, is what is the value that I can provide? That's why you have a value proposition. And when you're making a prospecting call, you're looking for whether they are interested. Is there a shared interest? You as the advisor, you're interested in working with them and helping them if the timing is right. So you're looking for a shared interest, and then you're looking for shared care. Do they really care about stabilizing and their finances? Do they really care about wealth building? Do they really care about making sure their taxes are proper, right? Then you're looking for shared commitment. Are they committed to telling you the truth? Are they committed to telling you what their financial situation is? So when you're prospecting, you're really prospecting, are they open to it, starting a relationship around discovering how they can do better with their finances, etc. So I hope that helps you really look at that. And so you're looking for a prospect. Are they committed? And so oftentimes that's where your savvy comes in. That's where your relationship comes in. that's where your comfortability and the value that you provide comes in.
Connie, we just got a comment in from Vicky, who's watching over on LinkedIn. She says, totally resonates. I need to focus on how I may help a new prospect versus being worried about coming off like a pushy saleswoman. I need to make it about them and not about me.
Yes. And so thank you, Vicky, because what I hear you're doing is you're identifying with being a salesperson, and you really are. Selling is solving people's problems for a profit. And so how much have you invested in money, in education, in time? And so you just get in a good relationship that you're comfortable, that you're solving their problem, and you get paid for it. Wow, isn't that what your business is all about? And so identifying with who you really are and the value you can provide, that's the underlying mindset that can make all the difference in the world.
Yeah, you see that a lot, the word pushy. People are afraid of being pushy. But as you said, it's not about that. It's being of service.
Well, and what I do work with my client is pull them into a higher level. So pull your prospect into what are their aspirations? What are they thriving for? Pull them out of survival mentality. So it becomes of who are you when you're showing up? And so you don't have to push people into anything. You don't want to be pushed, but you pull them into a higher level of integrity around what it is that they really want and what it takes to get what they want.
So Seema just shared, I absolutely love this talk. Well, thanks.
Thank you. Yes. And so there is so important, because here's what I want for all my clients is that you wake up every day and you say, I love my life. I love my career. And when you get out of your own way and stops the mental habit of sabotaging yourself and your career, you can wake up feeling like a kid in a candy store. There's so much opportunity for you out there, and that you land on the opportunity that is yours. It is so possible to have that experience.
Yeah, Seema said this is so needed in our industry. Yeah, I mean, the need for financial advice is so great. I mean, you just don't learn about this stuff in school, and yet it makes a huge difference on your life and your family's well-being. It's just so important.
And yes, and regular people, we don't have time to figure out the taxes. We don't know when to sign up for Medicare, right? It's like, we don't know. We can't find it out. We need you. The world needs advisors that are definitely out there and visible. And you can be really, really good. If you're not visible in your marketplace, wow, you have a responsibility to be out there.
So another question from Sima. She wanted to know if you, Connie, work for Horse's Mouth. No, Connie does not work for Horse's Mouth. Her business is exceptional sales performance, and she's a speaker, a trainer, a coach. What's your website, Connie, if people want to find out more about working with you?
It's at exceptionalsales.com, on LinkedIn, Connie Kadansky, and you can find all my information there. And I have my phone number there too, because you can call me if I'm available and leave me a message. You know, the other day, somebody told me that they stopped answering their phone and it was a salesperson. I stopped answering my phone because salespeople are calling me. Holy smokes. You need to answer your phone. Prospects are calling you. You know what I see in the chat? It says about being neutral as a tactic to addressing call reluctance. So that's a very good question. How do you be neutral? Can you enjoy it, love it? That's the ultimate goal. Here's the deal, is when we're prospecting, is what I teach is that you can make it neutral, and where you have the prospecting, you can either continue to have an really agitated relationship with prospecting and it costs you big bucks and it emotionally drives you nuts, it's painful. Or you can just say, I'm going to become at peace with prospecting. Prospecting is what it is. It is what it is. I'm going to become at peace with it. I accept it. Prospects are who they are. They're not who they're not. I am who I am. I'm not who I'm not. Or you can actually see this struggle that you have with prospecting as an opportunity and a gift, that it is going to teach you something. It is going to help you be more resilient. It's going to help you be more mentally fit. So how many of you actually work out every day? So you're working out to become more physically fit. And what I do with my clients is I help them become more mentally fit, because prospecting requires a mental fitness. It requires change. And the more mentally fit you become, because I teach you an operating system, a mental operating system, that you can handle weightier challenges. You can handle bigger cases. I know there are advisors out there that are landing $20 million accounts, $30 million accounts. Do you have the mental capacity to handle bigger cases? You become mentally fit and overcome this reluctance. Wow, the world is there for you.
Connie, maybe we could shift the focus to some more like day-to-day, like tactical stuff, kind of like the tricks, any like tricks that you found over the years that help advisors, just get the momentum going. Like I've heard the expression, eat the frog in the morning. I'm butchering that, but do the thing that you don't look forward to doing. Do it first, so you get it out of the way, and then you'll just feel better about it, like throughout the rest of the day. Have you seen that work where like you make your calls, you get out there first thing in the morning?
Well, yes, indeed, is make prospecting a priority. And I don't care what you've got going, make it a priority. And then it's not really a trick. I got this abacus from Amazon. And what it is, it's a visual reminder of how much outbound activity I'm doing. And I just moved these over. And so this is telling me how much am I doing proactively. So have some kind of a visual reminder and make it a priority, because you really are a professional lead generator who happens to be an advisor. And there are advisors that get so upset. They have MBAs, they have CFPs and all that. No, you're a professional lead generator who happens to be a financial advisor. Make your prospecting activity a priority. And another thing, before you leave your office, decide who you're going to call the next day and have their information fully available to you. And that's what I have learned from really successful recruiters. They don't leave their office until they have their call list for the next day prepared, so that you come in, you hit the ground running with that kind of activity. Wow, because activity always brings business. So the more you're out there and the more you learn, the more that you will succeed.
Yeah, that makes sense. You're already mentally set going into the day. You're ready to go. That makes a lot of sense. So Sarvi on YouTube asked, how many no's do you want to hear before you let the prospect go?
Well, I'll tell you what I have learned. A persistent financial advisor that stays appropriately with people. And so you just kind of have to decide with you, if you have an unlimited amount of prospects, then you can let them go after 2, 3, 4. You can ask people. So many advisors, they'll, like call me next month or whatever. You know what? I'll be happy to call you next month. When I do call you, what are we going to talk about? And then I work with an advisor that is so successful, and he's got a lovely personality. And he'll sometimes say, you know what? I've got a question for you. Are you and I ever going to do business in this lifetime? And he's had people say, Andy, let's make an appointment. So you have to just kind of judge it intuitively with yourself. And also, there are people that can't tell you no. And so I actually asked somebody, you know what, on a scale of 1 to 10, how likely is it that we'll ever come together and have a conversation? And this gentleman said a 2. I said a 2? He said, 2. I said, you know what? I'm going to take you off my list. And he said, thank you. So we have to just be open. And what do we make the no mean? And to be able to find out, is it a no because it's a timing issue? So that's where you really need to get curious and find out, is it because timing is everything? And when I hear a no, and with my clients is, I know that timing is everything, and I know that things change. May I call you back from time to time? And do you know that there are people that will say, sure. And then there are other people who will say, you know what? No. And then we release them. Good for them. Good for you. You can go on to somebody who's more interested.
And we do see too that while it might not be a good fit now, they get on your newsletter or something, they're listening to your podcast, and then like years down the line, when the time is right for them, they come and approach you. We see that all the time.
Well, it's so true. And I had an advisor that would send somebody a birthday card every year. And then like 8 years later, and then she would call this prospect from time to time. And then all of a sudden, 8 years later, they said, you stayed in touch with me and I enjoyed your newsletter, and I'm retiring and I've got about 1.5 million in my account. And can I come in and see you? Right? 8 years. So never underestimate, our saboteurs want us to diminish and question and second guess. You are authentically in totally committed to helping people because you're enlightening them as you go. You're educating them as you go. And timing is everything.
So let's talk about the issue of plateaus, because this is a common thing where an advisor will reach a certain level of success in their business and just they can't seem to grow anymore. Do you think that sales call reluctance is a big player in that getting stuck on that plateau phenomenon?
Yes. And that's when the advisor needs to invest in a coach, because we'll never outperform our own self-image. And so if your image and your goal was 30 million under management, 60 million under management, and you hit that or higher, right? We know that there are advisors that do much more than that. Is when you get stuck on a plateau, you need to expand your capacity. You need to build your mental fitness to handle bigger cases and expand your so that's when you need to really take a look and invest so that you can absolutely know that you can have that capacity. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think it does. And I think too that to look at it in a slightly different way is that early on in an advisor's business, they might get success doing things that they're naturally good at and that, it's just easy for them. But then to grow more, they have to push and do things that they don't necessarily are a natural at. And a coach, I think, is vital in getting somebody out of that comfort zone so that you can perform better and grow your business more than you currently are. So that definitely resonates.
Because you know what, Sean, advisors know their why. Why? Yeah, they know their why. Horse's mouth provides the what and the how. Absolutely. It every day is the what and the how to do in all the different components. It's the who. And that's where coaching comes in. And I know that you have a really exceptional coach with Chris Holman at Horse's Mouth. It's coaching the who, the advisor, who needs to integrate the what and the how. And it's uncomfortable. Change is uncomfortable. You're not going to get off the plateau unless you change. And so that's where you need that operating system that helps you change. And you need somebody to coach you on expanding.
Okay, so I think we got Sean back. Sean, we're hearing you. Well, we're seeing you. Are we hearing you?
I hope you're hearing me. Are you hearing me?
Yeah. So far, so good.
Good. My apologies for that. And but Connie, thanks, because I've been listening. I've been hearing it the whole time, and finally got the camera to work. One of the things when I left, we were starting to talk about value proposition, and I know you've addressed some of that. Earlier we were discussing, at Horse's Mouth, in our financial educator marketing program, we encourage advisors to frame themselves and position themselves as being financial educators. And it seems to me that when you can assume a role such as that and make it a framework for all your communications, that that sort of thing ought to overwhelm any call reluctance somebody has, because at the heart, when you're a financial educator, what you're doing is, you're seeking to deliver value to people. Most advisors in this business are, heavily focused on pre-retirees and retirees. And, I heard you mention before a little bit about, like, what do we know about Medicare? What do we know about Social Security? And there are so many booby traps and time bombs that the crazy patchwork system of retirement planning in this country, our society, the way we've created it, that there is a tremendous amount of value for advisors to connect with pre-retirees, many of whom have not had a financial advisor because they've just been, kind of do it yourself, max out your 401k, get your house paid for, get the kids off to college, and still save. And then, people move into that pre-retirement space where they have the assets to start thinking about a new phase in life. But what they don't know is a lot relating to the kinds of things that financial advisors know a lot about. So I was just wondering whether you could comment a little bit on, what happens when an advisor is able to, instead of armoring up, you use that phrase armoring up, I think, in some sort of a negative connotation. But I'm wondering what your thoughts are in terms of armoring up in terms of your value proposition and leading with that, and how that probably has the chance of, working in a positive way when it comes to call reluctance.
Yes, thank you for that question. So, Sean, embody your value. I mean, you are going to embody it. It becomes part of who you are. And So instead of armoring up, embody your value. And yes, you are educating people. You are showing them that you're the guide that is going to help them get where they want to go. So you have a prospect who has a problem. They don't know. And yes, they're coming to you to be an authority. They're coming to you to have empathy for them and their uncertainty. They're looking for you to have a solution and a plan. And as the advisor, you must call them into action. And so you can educate. However, there are certain advisors that are too nice to close the deal. And so when you know and you're working with them to provide what it is that they need, the plan so that they can have the life that they want, you also have a responsibility to pull them into action in a way that shows them that you're part of their success. You're the catalyst in helping them have the life that they want. So, how do you feel about that? Embodying your value. Sean, do you understand what I'm saying there?
Yes, I think I do. Yeah. Yeah. But I have a question about something that you've probably encountered before. We certainly hear from advisors. Again, I'll use, an area where I work with advisors a lot in around being financial educator. And one thing that I've encountered over the years, whether we would do live 2-day in-person workshops where we would everybody would totally spend 2 days and they would totally create their, their financial educator marketing plan for the entire year, right? But some advisors would be very reluctant to schedule their first seminar or their first webinar. And the reason for that, I'm worried if I present on Social Security, I still don't understand that WEP GPO thing. It's really complicated. I'm afraid I won't know the answer. I got to study it more before I schedule a date and to get out there and market and have an event. And so my question for you is, what is the connection between perfectionism and call reluctance?
Well, I love it that you give that perfect example because it's true and real. Over prepare or call reluctance is over analyzing, right? And that's a big showstopper. And so is to become aware of it. But see, our saboteurs are messing with us. You don't know enough yet. You're not good enough yet. You're not good enough. And constantly, and that's where the vulnerability comes in. We must learn how to move forward with uncertainty because we're asking you're asking your prospect, trust me with your 2.5 million. They're moving forward in uncertainty. And so the goal here is to get comfortable with uncertainty and stop letting those saboteurs mess with you and moving forward. And so again, that's they get their plan and it's integrating the plan. And so that's where the coaching comes in, where your coach is going to partner with you to get moving. Or you get a buddy. Sometimes it can be in and of itself exceptionally good. But you need to admit, I am second guessing myself, and you need to build that mental fitness muscle so you stop it. So you command yourself, I am not going to let that. No, I have too much value here, and I am stepping into uncertainty. I may not. But you know what? You will show up and you will know. So you need to trust the process, and just be open. You've chosen a career that requires stepping into uncertainty. The market's uncertain, for crying out loud, right? And so it's just getting comfortable with that. And it is so possible. I hope that I can communicate here more than anything, is it's really time to get out of your own way and get out there and work for people and love them, want the best for them. and come at it with this value mindset as an underlying. And what happens when you do that, you start feeling like you live under a lucky star. People start referring you because you're coming at this with a different mindset.
Right. So, just to continue with my analogy of working with advisors around being financial educators, when they're presenting in front of an audience and of prospects, and of course, the goal of any financial education meeting, and in addition to educating the audience, from a practicality perspective, from a business perspective, the goal of the advisor is to now have one-on-one meetings with the people who have come to the educational event. And one of the things, and of course, that's where, more friction develops and some people move through the process and some don't. One of the things that we talk about coaching advisors around being a financial educator is that when they get to the point of discussing in their presentation that they'll offer a one-on-one meeting, is to give the audience as much concrete sense and a visual sense in their mind of, well, what exactly is this meeting going to be like? What is the outcome going to be? How is it? Where is it going to happen? So that when you do that, you're kind of reducing the audience's anxiety. And so my question for you is, for an advisor who has call reluctance and works with a coach such as yourself, what does that actually look like? What would a first meeting with you? I'm riddled with call reluctance. I know it. I understand what you said. What would, and for an advisor who's feeling that way, what would a meeting with you be like? A first meeting or an engagement over time? Like, how does that work? What are the concrete things that you can tell us that would give us a sense of what that might be like?
Yes, so thank you. And I have coached advisors that do that, and they do a really good presentation, and then they perceive that it is wrong, that they're doing something wrong to invite a one-on-one. And so within the advisor, there's some incongruence. I really want this, but I feel that I'm doing something wrong, that I am going to create, they think that I'm trying to sell them something, right? So they're having an internal incongruency there. And so it's getting comfortable with knowing your value, and also the timing that is right for people. So what I would really do is I would work with them on becoming at peace with this whole process. So the whole goal of the financial education is to find people who are ready, and you're going to invite them into a conversation. You're inviting them into relationship. So if there's a shared interest, if they're interested in what you have, there's a shared care, they really care about it. There's a shared commitment that they're going to make an appointment with you, and that you are opening to this opportunity and inviting them to step into it. Most advisors are so awkward and clumsy, thinking that that I don't want them to think I'm trying to sell them anything. Well, you're selling them on becoming financially literate so that they become successful. So do you see the different mindset there, opposed to I don't want them XYZ? Because a true prospect, you need a relationship with them, shared interest, shared care, shared commitment. They come into your office, you're having shared possibilities. What are the possibilities here that you're going to align with them? And then shared action. What is their action? Are they willing to take an action? So you need to get comfortable with this, get out of that clumsy, awkward feeling. So Sean, is that resonating? Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. But I want to throw it back to you one more time, because now I'm saying, okay, at the end of these kinds of presentations advisors make, some of them refer to having a good fit call. Let's get together and just, have a little conversation. I'll answer any questions you have about today's presentation, and we'll just see if there's a good fit for us to proceed. And so I'm asking you now, if Connie Kadansky has a good fit call with a financial advisor who thinks they have a call reluctance problem, what is that call going to be like? What is my engagement with you as an advisor going to feel like and be like in a concrete sense, at least the first time we get together?
So number one, I'll never take a client that I don't feel I can help. And so when I really look at this, I am equally interested in what my client is looking for, and I'm interested in what I provide. And so it's just, you kind of get into just feeling the congruency of how open. And so my goal is to pull them out of this self-protective barrier and and pull them into what is it that they really want to accomplish. And so when I pull them, what is it you really want? What would it be like to just totally be comfortable in that education, that you are dancing the whole way through, and that you get comfortable in that? When you get comfortable with you, they'll get comfortable with you. And that you stop saying, if it's not a good fit, we won't do. Don't talk about the don't want. What is it you really want? You setting an appointment with me, what is the value that you want out of that conversation? Hold it high. And then you'll find out. And the goal is to get them out of self-protective barrier. And also just knowing I can never lose a client that is rightfully mine, and you can't either. When the timing is right for people and you've done your work and they're in front of you, that you can never lose a client that's rightfully yours. And if it's meant to be, it's going to be beautiful. So, Sean, did I answer that question?
Well, I'm going to try one more time. What is our first meeting going to be like? I'm an advisor. I think I have call reluctance. I've contacted Connie. And I guess we're going to have a conversation, and you can sense, okay, definitely you do have call reluctance, and I know I can deliver value. Then what?
Okay. Okay. So, and this is exactly what IT is. And it's the same thing advisors do, is I say, so you have some call reluctance. What would it be like? What would your business be like if you were free of this emotional hesitation, this call reluctance? What will it be like? And I get them talking about, what will it be like? Wow. And then what has limited you from achieving that? Right? And we have a conversation. What's kept you from achieving that? And then what's at stake if you don't handle your call reluctance? And it's the same thing with advisors. You talk about to your client, what do you want your finances to be like? What do you want your legacy? What's kept you from having that? What's at stake if you don't address this now? What's at stake if you don't find out for your Social Security? What's at stake if you don't look at your tax situation? And so that's the closing, right? What's at stake? And most people are going, for crying out loud, sign me up. What do we do to work together? So that's what the first appointment is with me is like. I ask you, what's your sense of urgency? How important is this? What do you want your 2022 to be like?
Right. And so what are the kinds of typical things beyond the first meeting that, you get into with a client that you're coaching around call reluctance?
Well, we have a comprehensive assessment that measures the 16 types of call reluctance. And it also tells me whether they really want to build their business. A lot of advisors, they don't really emotionally connect to what it is that they really want. And so I do a diagnostic, just like the advisor does a diagnostic before they ever recommend anything. It would be, it would not be wise to recommend unless you know the whole picture. So I do an assessment with people And then we talk about it, and then I'm able to customize the coaching. And I'm able to find out, how committed are they? So that's the step with the call reluctance assessment. And if it's referral aversion, I mean, that's one of the easiest to overcome. If it's telephobia, it's easy to overcome. So then I'm able to customize exactly what it is. And then we just find out if, do they feel that they can partner with me? Is it going to be fun? Do I have the ability to help them help themselves? Because that's what advisors do.
Right. Exactly. All right. Well, Connie, is there anything else you want to say? Tell people how to contact you, follow up on anyone who's interested in really enjoying prospecting that feels like they don't enjoy it now?
Yes. So LinkedIn, Connie Kadansky, connect with me there. Give me a call. And exceptionalsales.com. You can go on there. I do have an opt-in report. And yes, I do get information. And sometimes people are so call reluctant, they won't give me their phone number. And that's okay. So the goal here is if you're serious, you call me and let's sort it out. Let's find if the timing is right for you. And just know that I have a lot of success record here, and I believe in what I do. I believe I can add value for you. And in closing, call reluctance is nothing to be embarrassed about. Nope. I'm in this career because I had call reluctance and I solved it. So the teacher teaches what the teacher needs to learn. Living with call reluctance is a choice. So whoever's in this career for the next 5, 10, 15 years, what will it be like to be beyond this? What will it be like? And I want you to leave here just pondering, what will it be like to be free from this sabotaging mental habit that is keeping me from promoting my business? You go there, you meditate, you ponder on that, and then feel free to give me a call if you're still intrigued.
Okay, everyone. Well, you heard it there from Connie Kadansky.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you.
You're
That
welcome.
was really good. Yeah.
Thanks, everyone, for being on our latest live stream of Build a Better Advisory Business. I'm Sean Bailey, editor-in-chief at Horse's Mouth. Thanks for being with us. And thanks,
Thank
Connie.
you, Sean.